When you're DIY building a 5-story multi-generational passive ICF house, there are literally thousands and thousands of decisions that you end up making. It's not on a general contractor, it's on you. So I'm now facing another decision, and that is I really wanted to put in my Sharkskin Ultra SA on top of my monoslope roof today so that I could finally be done off the roof before that snow up there starts coming down here. However, as I was doing a little bit more research just before I put it in, I realized that I've only got one shot in terms of putting screws through this zip roof sheathing into my 5.5-inch Thermosteel structural roof panels. And because once I put the Sharkskin Ultra SA down, I don't want to be putting any penetrations except for the penetrations that are required for when I put in my standing seam metal roof. So did a little bit more research. Every now and then we do end up with high winds. Sometimes the jet stream will dip down into our valley, end up with about 110 mile an hour gusts. They only last for 10 to 15 minutes, but yeah, that's not good on roofs, especially one that is as big as mine. So that was something that I didn't realize, is that if I had a really high pitch roof like the one over there, then the wind doesn't have as much uplift as a big monoslope roof like what I have here. It's a 1/2 inch per foot slope, and then it's 72 feet by 34 feet. So it's a lot of surface area, basically a giant kite. And versus my neighbors where they have just the up and down, there's less surface area. So given the fact that I do have such a lot of surface area, my structural engineer has designed this for my wind load region. But like I said, I don't want to see this for the next 50 years. I don't want to be dealing with this roof. And so I'm thinking I'm going to over-engineer it. And so I looked at best practices. Best practices along the edge is about 3 inches. I went at 2 inches, a little bit more. And then also within the first 4 feet, a best practice, it looks like, is every 3 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and get some additional screws so that the first 4 feet I've got about 3 inches. And this is really for high wind areas, especially monoslope roofs. But where I have less is out here in the middle of the panels. I only needed to go every 12 inches. And so that's what I've done. Every 12 inches, I've got a screw. And the other thing too to understand about my system is this zip roof sheathing, it's just a skin. It's not my sheathing like a traditional roof, because it's no longer structural in terms of the racking or the sheathing aspect. For that, I have 3/4 inch plywood that I've actually attached to my I-joist that I have down inside of my ICF walls, because what I did was create basically a Yeti cooler lid where I've actually got the insulation. I have outer insulation, but I've sunk it down into my ICF walls. And so my I-joists are actually on the inside of my ICF walls, not sitting on top. And then on top of the 3/4 inch plywood, which is my true sheathing. So that's my structural sheathing, and that's all glued and nailed per my structural engineer. And then on top of that, I've got 3 inches of foam. And then on top of that, I've got 5.5 inches of the Thermosteel EPS structural foam panels. And so that's my lid, and it's sitting on top. It's my outer insulation so that my cold condensing surface is of my 3/4 inch plywood. That's way down inside the house. And it's got 8.5 inches of foam on top, which is more than enough for a code in my area. And so I shouldn't ever have to worry about it being a cold condensing surface. And technically that's all the insulation that I need. Although I probably will put some additional insulation in those I-joist roof rafters if needed. In addition to that, so I've got Simpson hangers that are attaching it to the ICF walls. And then I have a 15-inch glue lam beam going down the center of the house that it's sitting on top of. I have Simpson Hurricane little straps or whatever that are keeping the I-joist attached to that 15-inch glue lam beam. 15-inch glulam beam has steel posts going all the way down to the all 5 stories down to my foundation. Well, they're foundation pads in the middle. So yeah, as far as this thing, the roof actually lifting off, highly unlikely. With that said, I want to make sure that my skin, this zip roof sheathing, is now really all that it's functioning. It's not functioning as sheathing per se, it's functioning as a skin. I want it to be as solid against the Thermosteel panels. And I should also mention the Thermosteel panels, they've got 10-inch Simpson screws going through all of them, through the EPS foam, through the 3/4 inch plywood, into the I-joist down below. So sheathing wise, I'm definitely covered in terms of that. But I'm gonna have a standing seam metal roof on top that's double crimped with butyl tape. And I have 0 penetrations, so I don't have any plumbing penetrations. I've been able to do all of my other, and I don't have any gas in this house, so all of my penetrations, according to code, as long as you're far enough away from egress windows, you can actually go out through the sides, and so that's what I've elected to do. And then the other thing to be aware of is I've got this massive space up here that I want to put a lot of solar panels on. And with the solar panels, the type that I'm going to be doing are the kind that clip onto my standing seams. So the stiffer that my skin can be, which is my zip roof sheathing, the better performance and the less strain on my metal roof, which is going to have strain on it, because as soon as you put the solar panels on, then when the wind comes underneath, each one of those solar panels is like a little tiny kite. And so I want this skin to be as tight as possible against the 5.5-inch structural roof panels, which are incredibly tight against everything underneath. So long story short, today's Saturday. The place that I get my screws from is closed on Saturdays, and so I'm gonna need to wait till Monday. I did the calculations. I've got another 1,500 screws that I'll be putting in, but I figure it's kind of a once in my lifetime. I'm 52 right now, but I mean, it'd be nice to be around when my posterity replaces this roof 50 years from now. But I want it to be 50 years from now and not in the next jet stream that comes down. So anyways, decided to go ahead and postpone putting in my Sharskin Ultra SA. Kind of disappointed, but hey, that's just life. And like I said at the beginning of the video, when you're DIY building, there's a million choices that you end up having to make. And because I'm the labor, yeah, it's going to take some extra time to put in all these screws, but I figure it's worth it in the long term. So if you made it this far, you've probably already subscribed. But if not, be sure to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.